Today, I'm going to be analysing Vela Bay condo, and if you watch to the end, I guarantee you'll understand why this is the hottest new launch in the first half of 2026. I'm going to cover all the potential as well as all the risk of being in this new township. Today I have a special guest in the video, it's Dino.
Hello everyone.
So first let's talk about the project. This project is by Sing Hai Yi Group as well as Hai Yi Holdings. It has 2 blocks of 515 units, 31 stories high each block, and it has 9 units per floor. It is estimated around 70% of the units have a sea view facing, and it is estimated to TOP in 2030. So Vela Bay has units ranging from 2-bedder to 5-bedders. It is situated right beside Bayshore MRT. It is walking distance to East Coast Park, and if you look at the side map, there's something interesting. It has a tennis court but no lap pool. So what about the schools?
Okay, so the schools, we are actually about 700 meters away from a very reputable school, Thomson-East Primary, and I think a lot of parents these days want to be near good schools, right? So Thomson-East Primary being one of them, I think it's a big plus point for Vela Bay. I think food-wise, right now there is not many food places over there because they're going through the whole transformation. Right? I think in terms of East Coast Park, there's a very famous East Coast Lagoon over there, which is literally just an underpass away. That's one big plus point over there in terms of the nearest eatery at the beachfront. Yeah, I think along the way there are lots more transformations that are coming up.
Yeah, so Dino, I know that you actually stay very near the Bayshore area. Can you share more about the transformation?
Vela Bay is actually sitting inside a 60-hectare Bayshore transformation. So it's not just a new condo, it's actually a new township phase. The last private launch here was 9 years ago, so supply has been quiet. But now pricing expectations will naturally shift with Vela Bay coming up. This is actually the first private residential project in the refreshed enclave. So first mover advantage is real. Of course, entering early means the surroundings will take time to fully mature. Take note, you're getting an integrated retail at your doorstep, a major Safra nearby, plus an upcoming integrated transport hub. And this transport hub has 22,500 square meters of commercial space, and that's huge. And also not forgetting Thomson-East Primary, which is a highly sought after reputable school just about 700 meters away. So that's a huge plus point. And connectivity is going to be improved significantly, we all know that, right? But again, execution and completion timelines will matter. To really summarize this transformation, the question isn't whether it's happening. It is for sure happening. It is whether you prefer to be early positioned and taking advantage of that first entry price, or waiting for full clarity and entering at a higher premium. So that choice is yours.
Actually, I really agree with Dino. The completion time matters a lot. So as of today, right, if you were to try to take the brown line to town through Vela Bay, it takes 35 minutes to get to One Raffles Place area. But if you want to go to Changi Airport from Vela Bay, it takes also about 30 minutes to get there. No, in fact, when I check, it's closer to 40 minutes or. But when the other brown line is completed, which is somewhere in the 2030s, it's only 3 MRT stops to Changi Airport, and the MRT is like right at your doorstep kind of MRT. So this means in future, if you want to go to Changi Airport, maybe 10 minutes can get there. Whereas if you compare with another OCR new launch such as Alta, right, the travel time to One Raffles Quay is 40 plus minutes if you take train, and to airport it's like 1.5 hours.
That's long.
Yeah, that's really long. So there's not going to be major transformation in terms of connectivity to Clementi as of now. So that's all the catalyst for price appreciation in the Bayshore area, right? However, when we look at driving in this car-like area supposedly, from Vela Bay to One Raffles Quay, again you use it as constant, it's 21.7 km, but it takes around 35 minutes, you know, if I put at a 9 AM timing. Compared against Alta, which is a 26 minutes drive to AYE. If, again, we do airport, Vela Bay to airport is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Alta has the same problem. It's also going to be a 30 minutes drive to the airport. So you can really see in terms of connectivity, if you or your workplace prioritizes the brown line, which is the airport, or you want to go to Woodlands, or you want to go to town, actually the brown line is super convenient.
I agree with Gerald, right? In terms of connectivity, the MRT stop is literally 10 steps away from Vela Bay. And Bayshore being the brown line, there's so many famous stops, right? Like for example, Shenton Way or Marina Bay. Both these stops are stops that can link you to your CBD, your Raffles Place and things like that. So these are conveniences that really matter.
So apart from looking at the connectivity, I also analyzed the site area, break down the site area for Vela Bay compared with Costa del Sol, Elta and Bedok Rise. We looked at the number of units, the land size, we did all the calculation. What we found is that the average land area per unit for Vela Bay breaks down to about 219.40 square feet per unit. So I'm going to bring the table up compared with other developments. What I noticed is that it is actually the smallest out of them four. But then the question is, would the smallest unit means make less money? This kind of reminds me of the Treasure at Tampines. You know, when I researched the Pioneery video, if you haven't checked it out, you can check it out over here. Treasure at Tampines, average land size was the smallest at 294 square feet. So the advantage of a small average land area per unit, right, is that the maintenance cost is really cheap. So actually, Dino was sharing with me the monthly maintenance cost of one of the owners at Treasure, right, was $120 a month. Yeah, it's like almost HDB prices. You paid
Town council
same price really. That was really funny. Whereas if you look at, let's say, Bedok Rise, which has the largest land area per unit, which is what, 570, you can imagine the maintenance cost is not going to be that cheap lah. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Is it too claustrophobic, or hey, actually cheap is good, sure make money?
I think one thing we also might want to take into consideration is that Vela Bay is going to be an harmonized project, right? I think the other developments in the Bayshore precinct, right, like the Bayshore Park and Costa del Sol, they're all non-harmonized, right? So meaning to say that all your aircon ledgers, your planter boxes, all of these are included in the developer's pricing. So I think we would be able to see more efficient layouts, because you see unit layouts like in the Bayshore, you have a lot of these sharp edges, and you know they are very different. I wouldn't say they're as efficient as the new layouts we have today. We might see more efficient layouts I would say in Vela Bay, right? So that might also be a plus point here that we want to consider.
Yeah, so average land, if you add harmonization, is about 7%.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not just about the adding of the 7%, it's also the layout shapes. I think all the developments at near the Bayshore area, I think the layout is quite weird, right?
They're unique. Yeah. They're unique. Let's put it that way. If we talk about land prices, right, let's look at another example, right? Let's look at another OCR plot. Let's take Elta for example. Elta, the land cost went at 1250 PPR, right? So from that, everyone was wondering at that point, what would be the launch price? What would be the accepted price? And today we are seeing that the price is being accepted at 2,800 PSF for an OCR plot of land, right? And taking that into account, taking that into perspective, right, you also have your Bedok Rise, which is very near to Bayshore as well, where the developers have bought the land at 1380 PSF as well, right? Bayshore is 1388, Bedok Rise is 1380. So from that you can already see, right, I think 2008 is sort of the market norm in the OCR plot already. It's really something that whether you feel Vela Bay being transacted at 2008, is this something of acceptance, right, in today's market?
So then if the developer bought at 1,300 PSF, then what is the price they have to sell at? So this, assuming they have the same amount of markup, which is never the case, I just visualize like Bedok and Bayshore selling at the exact same price, which is more attractive.
And I mean, talking about Elta, right? Elta is also a very great location, right? It's in Clementi, it's in the heart of the education belt and in Singapore.
So apart from buying into the project, we also need to see the long-term exit strategy of the project, because the Bayshore new township, you're going to be the first mover in it. The question is, what is the exit plan? So right now when we look at the Bayshore area, right, there hasn't been a new private launch in 9 years. The closest was Seaside Residences at the Siglap area 9 years ago. But this is technically not Bayshore. So if we look at the Bayshore specifically, is Costa del Sol, which is 22 years old, super long ago. So what this means is that if someone really wanted to buy into the Bayshore area and you want to buy brand new property, first to be available will be Vela Bay. So this creates a strong demand. Additionally, the Bayshore transformation is expected to have 10,000 new homes. 7,000 will be HDB, but we need to take note this HDB will be under the plus schemes, likely under the plus scheme, which means they have a 10-year MOP. So then to exit to these HDB upgraders in future, you're looking at least a 10-year horizon.
At least,
In terms of private homes, you're looking about 3,000 new private homes, with Vela Bay taking 500. This means 2.5k more. But this only applies if you're buying like a larger unit size, right? Let's say you buy the 3-bedder, 4 or 5-bedders, then you can potentially exit to a lot of this, 2 or 3-bedder or studio buyers from the subsequent developments. So to summarize, actually Vela Bay has clear exit strategy because there's not many supply in terms of the East Coast Bayshore area, in terms of new properties. And when it comes to demand or future demand, we have quite a lot of HDBs that will be coming up in the area. So as of today, we still don't have the layouts as well as which are the unit types that will be sea facing and which will be the landed facing unit type. So if you're interested to be the first to find out, be sure to subscribe and join my Telegram group to stay up to date to the latest news.
Okay, so targeted preview date, right, is going to be 11th of April. That's the VVIP preview date, right? Booking day is to be confirmed. We don't have the details yet. But if there are any changes and if you want to be informed, you can subscribe and follow me, DM me, and I'll keep you informed for any changes that's along the way.
And did you know, apart from facing the sea in Singapore, a lot of people face the river. So in the next video, actually I talk or analyze River Modern, which faces the Singapore Clarke Quay River. If you haven't watched the video, I highly recommend you check out the video over here or check out what YouTube recommends you over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care everyone.